Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Legislative Day 2021. And this session is going to discuss how to use social media to connect with elected officials. So why should you use social media to communicate with your legislators? There's one really clear answer to this. They're paying attention. But there are a couple of other reasons that we should be using social media to connect with them as well. It's easy for them to follow. It's easy for them to go into their Facebook profiles and see the various people who are commenting, or better yet, using Twitter to do this. And why should you use social media to communicate? It's also seen as an authentic form of communication. It is not a canned letter or a pre-written email. It is seen as something truly authentic, especially if you use your own personal voice. So what's the most useful social media platform? I know most of us are very comfortable with Facebook. Many of us use Instagram, and others are using LinkedIn. But the most useful social media platform for actually connecting with your elected officials is Twitter. So why is it more important to use Twitter than to use Facebook? Honestly, legislators use it. This is how they're actually communicating and have a back and forth communication or conversation with many of their constituents. We also find in the state legislature that many of the legislators actually are the ones manning their own Twitter account. It's not staff posting to it necessarily. They actually look and respond to many of the posts. And also, Twitter is most valuable because the communications are more easily tracked. You may see hashtags on Facebook. They're very hard to actually track, but a legislator can look up a specific hashtag and see how many people are actually using it to get a sense of whether or not it's a really important issue. So since Twitter is really the platform to use, let's talk for a minute about how we use it. So how do we tweet? Here are some basics. First of all, no more than 280 characters can go into a tweet. And that includes spaces and punctuation. I'm going to assume for a minute that all of you have the opportunity to go in and actually create your own Twitter account, post some pictures, make it look like yours. So when you're crafting a tweet, besides keeping in mind that you have to keep the length rather short, also know that in order for people to track it, we should be including hashtags. And people, of course, say, what is a hashtag? A hashtag is, first of all, how they're tracking individual issues. And it is usually preceded by what many of us have come to think of as the pound sign or hashtag sign. And hashtags can look like this. And here are a few just examples of hashtags that we've used over the years in a number of C.A.R. Red Alert campaigns. And you'll see this hashtag is our hashtag for today. California is home is our theme for Legislative Day 2021. You might want to include real estate. If you're sharing an infographic from One Cool Thing, you can share that. And again, another hashtag for today is C.A.R. Ledge Day 21. You also want to get a handle on things. And what does that mean? A handle is what you go by on Twitter. So it's usually preceded by the @ sign. And we'll give you an example in just a second. But when you want to actually reach someone specific, like a legislator, and you want to make sure they're aware of your message, you want to include their handle in your message. So here's what a handle might look like for Senator Bob Hertzberg. At least this is a handle he's been known to use. If you want all of the state legislators to see your messaging, then we have handles for those. California Senate Dems, Senate Republican Caucus, CA Ledge. These are all examples. I believe the Assembly Democratic and Republican caucuses each have their own handle as well, and you include those in your tweet. And a reminder, please be sure to be respectful if you're crafting your own tweet. Keep in mind that you're using this as a way to foster a positive conversation and a positive relationship with your legislator. So it's really important that you take a look at it with a critical eye, your proposed tweet, and I do this typically in a text document or a Word document before I post, to make sure that when you read it, you think that it is positive. It's something respectful and not something that might be viewed as hostile or aggressive. So here's what for you. This is a tweet we actually used several years ago. Realtors ask California Senate Dems and the California Senate Republican Caucus to protect due process and vote no on hashtag AB 2416. It was a bill that we were opposing. And we included the CA Ledge hashtag so the media would pay attention to it as well. The last piece you see here on .car.org and in italics is actually a shortened link that we used that would go back to the red alert that we had posted on C.A.R.'s webpage. You can use a link to something. I will tell you that tweets are more visible if there is a picture attached to them. So whenever you can, maybe attach a picture to something important if you've got it. I'd also mention that the RT means we're asking folks to retweet the message. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So how to tweet beyond the basics. First of all, you want to like and retweet content that's posted to C.A.R.'s own government affairs Twitter account. That's at C.A.R. Gov Affairs. We have a lot of content on there. Oftentimes that's aimed at the legislature. So it's not really a realtor-focused audience, but it's focused with the intent of legislators knowing more about things that we're doing or messages that we have. So whenever you can tweet or retweet something from C.A.R.'s Gov Affairs account, that helps us amplify a message. And here's an example of liking and retweeting here. You'll see at the bottom, this was something C.A.R. posted a couple of years ago for Legislative Day, to promote Legislative Day. And the idea was to make sure legislators knew about it too. And you can see at the bottom, people either liked it by the little heart, clicking on the little heart, or shared that content by clicking on the box with the arrows. And a retweet is just sharing the tweet with your followers. It just immediately sends it out to everyone that you are following so they see what you're sharing. If you retweet with a comment, it allows you to add some additional narrative to the tweet, maybe your own personal opinion, or let's say we had something out on a particular issue. You might tag your legislator and say, Senator Smith, we'd really like you to vote no on AB 1234, and it allows you to do that and tag your legislator. And then a like just adds a tweet to your likes tab on your profile, and then others can see that you have also liked it. And again, it gets it just in front of more people. And it's really great to tweet or to comment on contents you see on C.A.R. Gov Affairs. It lets us know that you're seeing it, and it helps us, again, get the messaging out even further when you actually comment on it. Your followers will see that. This is also how you follow and engage with your legislators. So this is an example of something that I posted a few years ago on a bill that C.A.R. was supporting. And I thanked Senator Wiener in this. It was a very difficult bill, did not pass, but it was a very difficult and controversial bill. And you can see when I tagged him in it, he saw that, and you see his handle there at Scott Wiener, and he responded to it. And this is an example of the kind of engagement that we should be aiming for. I'm going to just remind you of a couple of other things here. Don't forget to include hashtags whenever you can so that we can track individual campaigns. And I also suggest that you go to housingforcalifornia.com. This is C.A.R.'s external facing website that's designed to engage legislators, other stakeholders, the media, and consumers in some of our policy positions. So when you see content there, hopefully you'll share that on social media as well. So finally, I'm going to get to a few best practices here, just sort of some rules of the road. As I mentioned before, when you are tweeting at legislators, which means you are including their handle in your tweet, please remember to be respectful. And that means don't use all caps because that indicates that you're yelling. And you should avoid exclamation points as well because it comes off as being a little aggressive. You always want to maintain a positive tone with your tweets. So if you're asking them to support something or oppose something, please, Senator Smith, will you vote no on this bill? We'd appreciate a yes vote on that bill in the tones. Honestly, if you want to communicate with your legislator and raise a concern about something or disagree with them about something, I urge you to use email as that platform. You don't really want to do it in a public forum. It will impact your relationship with that legislator. Also, as a reminder, only use 2 or 3 hashtags at a time. It gets a little overwhelming in the tweet if you see about 30 hashtags. I also want to remind you to develop sort of an authentic voice. And that means sometimes not necessarily just copying and pasting what you're given, but making a couple changes to it that feels a little more natural to you. You want to use proper grammar and correct spelling because this is a reflection of you. And it's also a reflection of your business. So we just wanted to leave you with those last few reminders. Thank you again for attending C.A.R.'s Legislative Day 2021. We hope you're having a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you live again in person in Sacramento next year for Legislative Day 2022.